If the left is very good at doing something, is to make enemies of people that are neutral in this battle. Now, the culture war has been going on for some time. Some people say it's been going on for a decade, some say longer, some say it's just been recent. But it's clear that we're going into the point where we're going to have to be forced to pick sides. Now, the far left and the far right have been going at it for a long time. But with the far left tactics of cancel culture, not to mention the fact that they're simply getting people fired for simply being bystanders, is getting people into the fray that had no intention of getting involved in the first place. Now, from you see on the title, I'll read you the title. Stepmother of police officer charged in Rayshard Brooks shooting fired from her job. Company releases a statement. Now, if you're not aware about the Rayshard Brooks incident, essentially, Rayshard Brooks was in a Wendy's drive-thru. He was drinking while driving, right? He was driving under the influence. Cops pulled him over. They basically gave him a breathalyzer test. He failed that test, and when they tried to arrest him, Rayshard Brooks became very violent. He literally resisted his arrest. He took an officer's taser, and the officer logically pulls out his firearm, shoots Brooks, and Brooks is killed. Now the outcome is the following: this cop is now facing the potential. His charges are. I think one of the charges includes felony murder, and if convicted, he could be facing the death penalty. And the problem with this? Well, now apparently his stepmother has now lost her job. What did she do wrong? Well, apparently, just for being the stepmother of this officer, she's now lost her job. This is the problem with the left. And I feel like if there's a culture war going on, not to mention if there's a civil war going on, I get the feeling, and again, I could be wrong. I'm not God. I haven't seen the future. But if the left tactic, right, if their tactic is make an enemy of people affiliated with their enemies are only going to get more numerous and they're going to get more dangerous. This woman, this stepmother of this officer who killed Rayshard Brooks, you really think she's going to go to Black Lives Matter and say, I'm here to support you, Black Lives Matter? I doubt it. She's going to look at that group. She's going to look at the left and say, you cost me my job simply because my stepson killed a black man in self-defense. She's not going to want to join them. She's going to look at the left with hatred, with anger. And this is the problem. The left is making enemies out of everyone. I don't know if you're aware, but in a small town in Ohio, a Black Lives Matter protest was being organized. I think like around 80 people. And you know what happened? 700 counter protesters with rifles said enough. Those 700 people, I guarantee you, they were not Trump supporters. They were not far right extremists. They were everyday Americans. Over by Pennsylvania, everyday Americans are taking arms and defending statues, monuments of founding fathers and historical figures. I guarantee you, those people, they're not far right extremists. They're everyday Americans who say enough is enough. But now, things are getting way out of hand. Not only is this stepmother, not only has she lost her source of income at a time when jobs are basically being taken away by the government, but this woman, I can guarantee you she's pissed. Let's read a little bit, and then let's read a little bit about what's going on, and then I'm going to explain to you what's going on in Atlanta specifically, because this video is going to be focusing on the chaos going on in Atlanta. Fox News host Tucker Carlson reported on Thursday evening that the stepmother of Atlanta police officer Garrett Rolfe, the officer who allegedly shot and killed Rayshard Brooks, has been fired from her job at a mortgage company in the area. Until today, his stepmother, her name is Melissa Rolfe, was the HR director at a place called Equity Prime Mortgage in Atlanta, Georgia, Carlson said. But today she was let go. She's no longer in that role. Apparently she was fired, and her only crime was being Officer Rolfe's stepmother. According to a source familiar with the matter who spoke to this program, Rolfe was promised that her job was safe, but today she was told, we have to terminate our relationship with you, Carlson continued. No other explanation was offered, and honestly no other explanation was needed. It was obvious what happened. Rolfe has already been scrubbed from the company's website, wiped away as the Bolsheviks did with those who lost favor with Joseph Stalin. Carlson added, that will keep happening until lawmakers decide to resist the mob and protect ordinary people from its predations. This is why the country is going. This is where the country is going. It's becoming a place where you can be punished for the supposed misdeeds of your relatives. You don't want to be that country. All of us should put brakes on this immediately, and I agree with Tucker Carlson 100%. In the Soviet Union, And I know this because I study history. If Joseph Stalin didn't like you, you were not only endangering yourself, you were also endangering your relatives. Why? Because Joseph Stalin didn't want to take risks. If you were Joseph Stalin's right hand man and you pissed him off, not only did he make you disappear, but he would also target every single relative that was on the records of the government. This is what the left is doing right now. This woman had nothing to do with Rayshard Brooks' killing, but all of a sudden she is let go? Why? Apparently she doesn't seem to have a bad history when it comes to her work, but all of a sudden she is let go. Well, now in Atlanta, cops are calling out sick. Some people are calling it the blue flu. And apparently the mayor of Atlanta is saying that police morale is down tenfold. And I can guarantee you why. The DA, by the name of, I'm not saying by the name, oh my god, it's really frustrating. Sorry, I need to get my composure because I'm trying to speak to you guys in a way that where I'm not letting my emotion get the best of me. But it's really hard. Like really, it really is hard because what I'm seeing right now is utterly ridiculous. I mean, this woman just lost her job over the fact that her stepson was involved in a controversial situation. I don't know how it's controversial, but the problem is police morale is down, and you want to know why? Personally, I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume the reason why police are refusing to answer calls in Atlanta. Police scanners are literally silent, like no one's picking up calls. I think the reason why police morale is down in Atlanta is because the DA is pressing charges against the officer for felony murder, even though the officer did his job according to the law. Even though this same DA, by the name of Paul Howard, last month claimed that a taser or a stun gun is a lethal weapon. In Atlanta, if an officer is threatened with a lethal weapon, deadly force is permitted. But for some reason, he doesn't see it that way when it comes to Rayshard Brooks. I wonder why. The mayor, she wonders why police morale is down tenfold. That is why, because of your DA. This DA has had problems with his career. Apparently, apparently he's being criminally investigated, for taking at least 140,000 taxpayer dollars to supplement his salary. I wonder why he's doing this. Could it be possible that he's trying to make himself look good for the public because apparently he's being investigated? Right? Not to mention, a lot of cops from Atlanta are accusing the DA of setting up for a new round of riots for Black Lives Matter. Think about it. You're getting a cop who is being accused of felony murder. The jury is going to look at this and say, and this is assuming that this jury is unbiased, right? The jury's going to look at this and say, clearly the officer was in the right. According to the law, according to the law, a taser or a stun gun is a lethal weapon, and according to the law, if an officer is threatened with a lethal weapon, he has a right to use deadly force. So clearly, he is not guilty of felony murder. What happens? The media's going to say, jury acquits officer who killed Rayshard Brooks, and then you have riots in Atlanta. I mean, he's being accused of this, but what a coincidence. I mean, think about it. It happened with Trayvon Martin. It happened with Michael Brown. Who's to say that it's not going to happen with Atlanta? This is the problem with overcharging these officers. If you're going to charge them for something, be realistic. But again, the DA, he wants to look like he's tough on police brutality, and he's going to overcharge these people. That is why when it comes to George Floyd, that is why when they started stepping up the charges, increasing the charges for these officers, I'm thinking to myself, if they overcharge these cops, they're gonna say not guilty on these charges, because technically what they did is they're being accused of, it doesn't meet the category. What happens? Not guilty, and then the media says jury finds police officer not guilty, and then there's riots. So, to the mayor of Atlanta, I doubt she is watching my videos, but I'm going to assume she is, and hopefully she sees this. To Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, you want to know why your police morale is down tenfold? Because you have a DA who is accusing a cop, charging a cop with felony murder for doing his job. That is why police morale is tenfold. Think about it. If you were a cop in Atlanta, would you want to go do your job, deal with a deadly criminal? Right? Because that's what Rayshard Brooks was. He was a criminal. He was already breaking the law. You want to go deal with this man? If you say, "Oh yeah, we have a violent man who just robbed and killed a family of four in so and so address," the cop is gonna be like, do I answer this? And if I kill this man, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna use deadly force on me, if I kill this man in self-defense, I could potentially face a murder charge by the DA for doing my job, or I can simply ignore this, pretend I never heard it, or I can just call out sick and not show up to work. Which option do you think is going to benefit them? The one that's simply saying, I'll do nothing. Because if they do their job, they're going to get accused of murder. And they're going to potentially be facing the death penalty if convicted. This is outrageous. Not only are we looking at a potential riot, because that's what the DA is doing, it's safe to assume that he is. Not only does Atlanta have a DA who's being accused of corruption, mind you, he's also overcharging a cop, knowing that if the jury, a logical, unbiased jury, looks at this and says the cop was in the right 100%, he knows that once the media reports this and say jury acquits officer who killed Rayshard Brooks, there's going to be riots in Atlanta, and it's going to be George Floyd all over again, baby. That's what's going to happen. This DA is scum. The mayor of Atlanta, I don't know if she's playing dumb, or I don't know if she actually is dumb. But if you want to know why police morale is down tenfold, look at your DA. Look at what he's doing to a cop who followed the law in every step of the way. Look at what he's doing to a cop who did his job right. You want to know why that happens? Because you have people who are out there just trying to fulfill a narrative and to basically fulfill an agenda. And now you have this officer's stepmom getting fired from her job, which one can assume is because she has a stepson who killed a black man. Now you can say, well, what if she had a bad job performance? You could say that, sure. But knowing the left, they like to get people fired for association. You're guilty by association. I'm gonna give you a good example. Family Guy. Remember the episode of Family Guy when Brian tweets out a really offensive tweet to these SJWs? Right? He makes a tweet about ride along, right? Apparently SJWs find it offensive, and what happens? Not only are they going after Brian, they targeted Meg, Chris, Peter, and Lois. They're guilty by association. That's what the left does. Family Guy is a comedy show, but they got this right. They warned us about this. That's how the left is. They go after you if you're associated with someone they deem problematic. That's what the Soviet Union did. That's what China does now. If your family or if your relative is problematic to the left, you best assured that they're going to come after you. And this is why I think that if we do go to a civil war, some people say we're already living it now, but I guarantee you, if the left continues the same tactics, they're going to find out that everyday Americans are going to say enough. People like this woman are going to say, I lost my job for something I didn't even do. I lost my job because my stepson happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I guarantee you, people like this woman, people like in Philadelphia right now, in Pennsylvania, defending statues, people like those 700 counter protesters in a small town in Ohio, I guarantee you they're not Trump supporters. At least not all of them. They're not far-right extremists. They're everyday Americans. I guarantee you that at some point the everyday American is going to say enough is enough, and we're going to take out these punks and we're going to restore order. And if the cops won't do it because they're scared of getting fired like this cop right here for enforcing the law and doing it to the letter and doing it the right way, then we're going to do it. And I guarantee you, someone with a gun who is not a cop, who is defending his property, will have less patience and less restraint compared to an officer of the law. And I guarantee you, it's not going to get pretty. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share this video with your friends and family, anyone who might be interested in this kind of content, because that really helps out a lot. But let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think that do you think that we're gonna start a civil war at some point? Do you think we are in it now? Do you think it is a tragic thing what happened to the stepmother of this officer who basically defended himself against a criminal, because that's what Rayshard Brooks was, he was a criminal. And what do you think of the DA in Atlanta right now by the name of, oh man, I don't even want to say his name, okay, by the name of Howard, Paul Howard, right? What do you think of this guy? You think this guy is gonna? Do you think this guy is simply purposely overcharging this officer because he knows he's gonna get acquitted, and he's just trying to get riots in Atlanta? Do you think this DA is scum? I think he is. But what do you think? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time.